No.
Historical Commission. Recording is in progress, just so everyone knows. And my co-chair, Gordon Kahn, is not able to be here tonight for health reasons. And so he usually hosts these meetings, which is, so this is new and hope you'll all bear with us. I assume it's going to go smoothly. So let's go around and do introductions. I'll start with Susan Baker because she's the person who's technically hosting the meeting for us. Thanks so much, Susan.
No, my pleasure. Hopefully it will work smoothly. So I'm Susan Baker. I'm the secretary of the commission.
Okay, and then Jim McAuliffe is very kindly taking over for Susan as secretary so that she can host. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Jim McAuliffe, a commissioner.
Okay. And then go ahead, Mac. And
I'm
Tim.
Mac Patch, I'm a member of the commission.
I'm Tim Curlegan. I'm also a commissioner.
And Luke, do you hear us? Oh, Luke, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, thanks.
Yep. Luke Manning, Commissioner.
Great. Okay, so we do have a quorum, and so we can start. And John Overbeck is here to talk about the proposal for 95 Aunt Sarah's Way.
Okay, let me pull up that material, okay?
Okay. John, can we see you possibly? Or hear you?
Sure.
So I figured just because there were pictures of the house, but this is the house on the assessors. There's no Form B. Let me just add, somebody from Cape Associates is adding. So that just gives you a sense of what the house looks like because it's hidden by trees, I think, or it's hard to see. And then this is a map of where it is, if you weren't able to go see it. And then, I'm not screwing this up. And then this is the application. So let me get to the.
It looks like we should have a Form B.
I couldn't find it. It's
You
not in the database.
Find it on Macros?
Not on Macros, no.
Okay.
If you have one, let me know.
I don't have it. It just says on the inventory, the street inventory, that we have one.
It doesn't, it's not there. So I don't know if it's meant to be done, but it has not, we don't have it, and it's not on Macros.
Okay. So, John, do you want to talk to us about this proposal?
What information would you like to know? We're just taking out the wood windows and simply putting in insert vinyl windows, and then wrapping the exterior trim, exterior casings with PVC metal.
Okay, so you're replacing historic wood windows with vinyl windows and metal on the frame?
Correct. So on the exterior casings you see in the pictures, if you want to scroll down a bit.
Get to some exterior shot here.
Yeah, so like there, all the exterior casing as well as the sill outside will be wrapped in metal, reflashed and wrapped with metal.
Okay. So I've been in touch with Kathy Bedard. Can you explain who she is?
She's our permit servicer. We
Okay.
handle, hundreds of jobs, so we use a permit service to help pull all of our permits.
Okay. Because we've dealt with her once before about another historic property in the historic district of Wellfleet, and it was also a historic house that also was requesting vinyl windows.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried to make it very clear with that proposal, and the information is also on the website of the town of Wellfleet, that we encourage people to replace historic wooden windows with wooden windows. I think I'd like to say a little bit about this because this keeps coming up. So I want to read what's on the website because I'd like the public to be more aware of this, and I'd like your company to be aware of this because it's really a problem for us, this idea about using vinyl. So on our website, it says, replacement windows on historic structures should be made of wood and may have exterior cladding. When the applicant requests replacements, they can choose one of the following types of sash, and this will be specified in the decision. 1, wood single pane, true divided light, non-insulated, or 2, insulated energy efficient, true divided light, double pane. These have a true Muntin bar as in a true divided light single pane window. And 3, insulated energy efficient, simulated divided light, double pane. These have permanently applied interior and exterior split Muntin bars with a filler piece between the glass. And I just would like to say that historic windows assembled with old growth wood are more durable than most modern windows manufactured with commonly available new growth wood, and properly maintained historic windows will last indefinitely. Most of the thermal benefits of insulated glass windows derive from the fact that there are 2 layers of glass with dead air between them, and the window and its installation and the wall is well sealed against air infiltration. A properly weather stripped, well caulked, single glazed window, new or rebuilt with good quality storm windows, has the same energy efficiency of a standard insulating glass window. And generally, the repair and rehabilitation of existing sash, including the installation of weather stripping and good quality storms, can be accomplished at no greater cost than that of replacement insulating glass windows, and if properly maintained, will last much longer. I also sent a note to Kathy Bedard saying that we discourage the use of vinyl windows on historic buildings because the vinyl material doesn't bond well with wood frames and vinyl windows tend to leak over time. Our mandate is to preserve and protect historic buildings in Wellfleet, and vinyl windows don't serve this purpose. So I'm a little confused, frankly, about why your company continues to present vinyl windows to us when we've tried to make this clear.
Well, it's our customer that we're representing, who wishes to put the vinyl windows in the home.
And talk to them at all about our design guidelines or about what's recommended in general about historic buildings on Cape Cod?
Sure, that's a recommendation.
So
To go final.
was the owner able to read through, as we recommend on our website, the Secretary of the Interior standards for historic preservation? Because it lays out kind of recommendations that we were formed to encourage homeowners to follow, and that the town has asked us to do as well. So maybe it would make sense for us to talk to the owner also, because I'm not sure that I don't know how aware they are of this.
Sure,
Well,
yeah.
I did ask
All the
Kathy
paperwork that you've got has been
I'm sorry.
forwarded to them.
Sorry, we didn't get
Everything that
it.
we've received from you has been forwarded to them.
Okay, well, we haven't heard from the owner. I did ask Kathy to invite him to the meeting because we haven't had contact with him. We don't even have his contact information. So do any other commissioners have questions or concerns?
Were you able to read anything that we sent you on the thermal properties of our windows? Anything like that? The triple pane heated by super packs, which are the best insulating windows you can buy. They have a heat mirror on them. They're good windows. I understand why you want to keep everything historic, obviously, but
Well, it's not that we want to keep everything historic, it's that we want to maintain as much of the historic nature of the exterior of the building as we can. And there's been a lot of research and work done on this by government entities, by us and by others. So it's, there are reasons to, as Meryl just read, for us to ask owners to at least consider it. And I think it might make sense for us. I don't know what you guys think, the other commissioners, to just speak directly to the owner before we approve this application.
Yeah, I think that would make sense too. It really does have to do with the mandate we have from the town about preserving and protecting historic houses. And if windows are leaking, it's not going to protect the building. And we do have a contractor on the commission who's had to do a lot of replacement of vinyl windows because they tend to leak on historic buildings.
I was trying to take a look at this is Luke Manning. I was trying to take a look at the spec sheet provided, and I wasn't totally sure. Are the windows like a hollow vinyl if you did a cross section of them, or are they, is there a solid core of some sort?
They're solid core insulation. Foam insulation.
Foam insulation.
Yeah.
I don't doubt the R value and the heat loss benefits. But we've had some units come up in front of us that were hollow, that we've asked the homeowners if they go back to the drawing board. Your company doesn't provide a window with a solid core that's wood. That might go over better with the commission possibly. Is that a possibility, or are they all?
We do have a wood line that we're looking at right now, but as of right now, this manufacturer does not offer any wood options.
And
Okay.
the metal that would be applied to the original trim or the
Yep.
older does that need to be done hand in hand with the window unit, or is that just another
That's-
measure
That's
homeowners
more of an aesthetic thing for the customer. It's not absolutely necessary.
that
The only thing
trim?
that we'd add would be an exterior stop to the window, which is 3/4 by 1/2 inch. Very small, goes in the corner, just keeps the window from falling out.
So is that existing trim, has it been determined that trim's too far gone to save? And
Some of the
covered?
sills will be replaced, as you can see in a few of the pictures, if you scroll down. That one's fine. I think that one's getting replaced. And then I know the one on the right is getting replaced. So there is some sill work that needs to be done. Obviously, some of it's in rough shape. I mean,
So-
we can explore other options for the trim if you don't want them wrapped. We can do them in a primed exterior wood, or we can do them in PVC, which is obviously you don't want for historical value.
Well, I think in some cases having, I've worked on houses where we've taken aluminum off of the roof trim and found that the original roof trim was still there and in pretty good shape, and with a call to a good painter, it could be salvaged. So I'm not trying to speak for the rest of the commission, but it just seemed that perhaps if the wood was in enough shape to save, that maybe it could be painted and hardened with products in areas where it needed to, or maybe some sills could be replaced, or a combination of all those things. Maybe that would be worth exploring anyway. And then I know that the hollow core windows of the foam filled is almost the same. I mean, obviously you get the more R value and it's a little more substantial, but it's not a wood.
Yeah, I mean, they have far better insulating properties than wood windows.
Sure.
But,
And anything's better than a single pane that's
yeah,
letting it. That's understood.
yeah.
So I guess I'm just wondering if if there would be options to explore with the saving of some of the trim that's there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, some of it needs to be replaced. I can't do it without replacing it. But anything I can save, I'm more than happy to save and have the homeowner paint. Or however you guys want to go in that direction.
And I'm not sure if Merrill and the rest of the commission wants to be in touch with the homeowner, but those were the questions that I thought I'd raise anyway.
Yeah, thank you for your questions, Luke.
Yeah, and I can speak to the homeowner as well. You know, and have him get in touch with you guys.
Okay, could you give us his contact information, or would you rather go in the other direction?
Yeah, I can give you his telephone number if you like.
Okay, that would be helpful.
His name is Patrick Flanagan, Patrick and Tootsie,
Yes, I have his name, thanks.
508-349-0164.
0164. Okay, great, thank you. And you could also give him our Gmail address, which is, well, you have it, I think. It's Wellfleet Historical Commission @gmail.com.
Okay.
So it sounds like we're ready for a motion. Susan, would you like to make the motion?
Sure. So I move to continue this application so that we have a chance, so that we can talk to the homeowner about other options for the windows rather than a vinyl replacement.
Mhm.
And that should be enough, I think, for that movement, that motion.
Okay,
I
thank you.
I second the motion.
Okay, and Merrill votes aye.
Mac votes aye.
Tim, aye.
Jim, I.
Luke,
Susan,
aye. Sorry, Susan.
that's okay. That's right.
Okay, so that's unanimous. Thank you, John, for coming before us, and we'll look forward to speaking with Patrick Flanagan. I guess the main thing would be to pass on to him that it would be helpful if he comes to our next meeting. But I will be in touch with him directly about that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Okay, and the next item on the agenda is 130 School Street. Is Brian with us?
Brian
Yes,
is
he
here.
is.
Yep.
Okay, great. So Brian, feel free to unmute yourself. And this proposal is to add 2 dormers on the roof of the main house facing north to the left and right of the existing single-centered dormer using Marvin Ultimate double-hung windows. And this building is located in Wellfleet Center's National Register Historic District. Brian, do you want to say more about this? Oh, you're
All right,
still.
in the chat, Brian's unable to unmute himself. He's going to log out and log back in.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Oh, yes, there are all kinds of messages in the chat.
Oh, I should probably be following that, shouldn't I? I can't see it when I'm screen sharing. That's the problem.
It's okay. We'll
We
do
got
it
it.
for you.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
Thanks a lot, Tim.
I've been Brian's personal messenger for the last 2 meetings. I like it.
It's wonderful of you to offer this service.
Yeah, got to be neighborly.
So I guess we could just talk about this. So the picture on the left is the house as it now exists, and the picture on the right is what Ryan is proposing.
Right.
I just want to jump in. I think this is pretty straightforward. Although I love the single dormer right in the middle of the roof. I think it's kind of Wellfleet funky. According to our guidelines, it's exactly what any sort of dormer addition should look like. It doesn't bother the roof line. It maintains that symmetry. I personally have no problem with this and think it's a nice solution to get a little more headroom up there.
Hey, Brian.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
See and hear you.
Excellent. I hope that I hope this might be the last time. Well, it's not that I don't like to see you guys, but I think this might be the last time. Because I don't think we have too many external pieces of work to do outside of this. I mean, you know, when I first met you all back in July of last year, you know, we talked about how we, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we talked about how we had to demolish the screened-in porch in order to lift the house. And it was a very special feature, although design-wise, it wasn't particularly attractive. We do want to revisit that at some stage, but that is not by any stretch a priority for us. So I think this should hopefully be sort of the last of the incremental changes for at least some period of time. And then following this, I'd like to then go for some of the building permits so that we could start the work on the interior. But the basic premise is that, it's fairly tight up top. We are trying to add some headroom to the upper floor there. We tried to essentially, and we want to preserve the central dormer, so that we're proposing zero change to that. We are going to restore that original window that's in there. So we would basically replicate what's in that center dormer into 2 additional dormers, and we would symmetrically space them. And then, as we learned from the last conversation, we would use Marvin Ultimate windows and do that essentially to the same light dividing specs. And that's the concept. That's the idea.
Great. So I think you may have missed what Tim said before you. Did you miss what Tim said? I think it was
I
as
did.
you were coming on. Okay.
Yeah,
Tim,
no, I
can
didn't hear it.
repeat yourself?
Well, Brian, I was just saying, I think you did a great job. It follows our guidelines in that as long as you retain the look, the roof slope, and bring it off the edges of the building, we don't have problems with adding a dormer within reason. And I think that although I love the single look of this funky dormer, I completely understand adding 2 on either side. I like that you maintain the symmetry. And I think it's a solution that I can't see any problem with. I did also want to mention that although I appreciate you sending us paint samples, it actually says in our guidelines, we are not in charge of any paint colors. So you can paint it purple if you want, please don't, but we appreciate your thoroughness, and you've been great with us. So thank you for that.
Oh, yes. And Meryl sent me a note to that effect. I don't know if this means anything to the group, but I think we probably would have chose a different color, and I appreciate the flexibility that you're giving me. But honestly, we wanted, I have there was a painting in the house which unfortunately didn't stay with the house when the owners vacated. It's quite old. I want to say it was mid 1800s, mid to late 1800s. I want to say, and it at that time had green shutters and green doors, in fact. So we're trying to actually keep it exactly the way it was. So it probably wouldn't have been our first color choice. I think we probably would have wanted a little bit more pop of color, to be blunt, but we sort of felt like it was the right thing to do for the neighborhood and the house. I was surprised because I had Nancy strip the paint on the shutters, which I'm fairly certain are the original, because it's a very old heavy wood, and there's only been one color on that, on those shutters. So multiple layers of paint, but it's only been green.
Wow. Well, thank you for your consideration.
It's going to be gorgeous. It will be beautiful with green. So you're making a good choice.
Yeah. I understand, you may know this, Brian, but I believe the Historical Society has a painting of your house. Have you checked with them?
So I saw that on their Instagram account, but I have not actually stopped in to look at it.
Okay.
If it will be of any interest to this group, I actually have a photograph of what was in the house, and I'd be happy to send it to you all if you want to see it. It's super cute. It actually, it looks like the large barn might have been a slightly different shape at that time. There's a couple things. There's a couple things that are missing. There looked like there was a chimney stack in the middle of the breezeway barn too. I don't know, but I don't really see a lot of evidence of that now, but in any case, it is an interesting. It's an interesting like watercolor.
Well, we'd love to see it. That would be great if you could send it to us. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm in complete agreement with Tim. I think it follows our guidelines. It looks great. I have no problem with it at all.
I agree.
It looks.
So we need a motion.
Oh, somebody was going to say something. Somebody was saying something else.
Sorry.
It's Luke Manning. I just wanted to say I think it looks great too, and I have no problem with it either. I'm just curious if you've had any structural engineering produced to execute this plan, or if it's just the rendering so far. And I'm only asking, not that I think you'll run into issues, but I just am curious because I think that they'll probably want or need to do some significant restructuring of that side of the roof, and that may lead to taking a look at the ridge beam or lack thereof.
Right.
And so just out of my own curiosity, I'm not that there isn't a solution, but I don't know if you've gone down that path yet or not.
I have on, I don't know if this is the right word, but I have on retainer Marshall Puffer from Coastal Engineering. So I have a structural engineer sort of on call, and just about everything we are doing, we are running it by him. I have not done that for the dormers just yet. If you've been walking by the house, you'll notice that when we settled it back down on the new foundation, which is incredibly level, that created some listing issues. And so that's where he is focused at the moment. Straightening that barn out. But everything that we are doing, we are having him take a look at.
And I think you've done a great job, and I'm not second guessing or anything. It's really just out of my own curiosity and making sure that there's I'm interested in making sure that you set yourself up for success and that it doesn't become a can of worms. Not that I think it will, but
No. I'm 100% with you, and our primary residence up here or down here in Jersey City is actually a historic home too, and I've opened up Pandora's box before, so I understand. So that's part of the reason why I have a structural engineer. Like I said, he will. I mean, he'll be at the house on Friday. He's a part of the team. Doing the work with us. So
yeah, and I think you've done a great job so far and had all the right people in your corner. So I think it looks great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We really appreciate the care that you're taking care of this wonderful historic house.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the process is slow, right? And that's that's a part of the challenge. But I think we're kind of mentally prepared for that, and that's what we've been going through all year long anyway. So we're trying to just take it one step at a time, which is part of the reason why you're seeing this in little increments.
We're happy to see you in increments. So I would like to, I'd like to make a motion to accept this proposal as proposed.
I second the motion.
I, Meryl, vote aye.
Mac, aye.
Jim, I.
Luke, I.
Tim, aye.
Susan, I.
So we look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you someday in the future, Brian, when you decide to build a screen porch. But in the meantime, best of luck with your project.
Okay, very good. I'll keep you posted. Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Bye.
Coming
Bye-bye.
before us. Bye-bye. Okay, the next item on the agenda is 186 Pleasant Point Road. This is a proposal to mount 9 solar panels on the roof using JA Solar modules. And I'm not sure who's presenting this one. So if you are here to present this, if you could unmute yourself, that would be great.
Yep, I'm right here.
Okay,
Matt Livy.
okay, great. Thank you, Matt. So do you want to talk with us a bit about this proposal?
Sure. Yeah, pretty straightforward. It's 9 solar panels on the rear mounting planes, and then 2 panels on the left, or if you're facing the house, on the right side of the house. Pretty standard tie-in side in the electrical panel. All conduit will go from the inverter to the attic space, and then we go inside the attic space and go up underneath each array, so that we're not having a bunch of exposed conduit.
And where would these panels be visible from the road?
Down the street, you will see just the 2 panels. If you're looking at the house right there on the top section, like a little
Just that
dormer.
little bit.
There's a dormer that's been built out. Or I'm guessing there's a room in that section.
Mhm.
That section you could see down the street to the left. But other than that, the other ones are on the back section of the house. So
Okay.
where you have that panels here, it's actually a little on the other side of that ridge.
That's what I was assuming. I was there today and it did look like that's where the sun
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
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 And will the roof be at all changed as a result of this project?
No, we mount directly to the rafter. We find the rafter and leave the shingle as intact.
Okay, great.
We
Does
actually
anyone-
don't even have to pry the shingles on these ones. So we won't lose any like existing tack where they're connected.
Okay,
Our concern is always that, that when you install solar panels, there's no damage done to the original structure or anything that can't be easily repaired if the panels are removed. So it sounds like that's not the case in this case, so.
so that's great. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. I would like to make a motion that we accept this proposal.
Seconded. I will second it.
Okay, that's Jim?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I, Merrill, vote aye.
Back aye.
Jim, I.
Luke, I.
Tim, I.
Susan, I.
Okay, thank you for coming before us, Matt. We're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next item on the agenda is 650 Pammett Point Road. This is a proposal to mount 15 solar panels on the roof at the front of the home, which will raise the roof height 6 inches. And this is Trinity Solar.
Hello there.
Hi.
I'm trying to find the application. Hold on one second.
And Brendan, what's your last name?
LeBrun. Lebrun.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. It's a 6 kilowatt system. We'll be using a rail system from EcoFasten called ClickFit. And we're mounting to what is designated as the front side of the house.
Can you just explain, when you say that you're changing the roof by 6 inches, that just means the inclusion of the panels, you're not actually altering the roof line, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Then I think it's the same as I don't know if you were tuned in for the last presentation, but as long as there's no change to the roof line, nothing that would permanently alter the structure or interfere with the existing, I have no problems with this. We like solar panels.
I do want to bring up that as it is the front side of the house, it is technically facing the street. However, there is about like a 20-foot tree line dividing the street from the home. So I don't believe you would be able to see it.
Okay, great. I actually tried to go there today and I didn't realize that they were across the Lieutenant Island Bridge. So, or maybe I'm wrong. No, you're on the other end, aren't you? It was Second
Yeah.
Street. Yeah. Did anybody else get to go see this house?
I did.
Thank
It's out by Brownbrook Island. I've actually known this house from work. And I think that although visible from the street, again, it's not part of our guidelines. It's something we should consider, and if it's going to be a monstrosity, but I think that it's perfectly acceptable, especially because it's a standalone property. There's no reference point next door that it would ruin sort of a read of a street or any of the historic district.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate
No
that.
problem.
Okay. So any other questions? Anybody want to make a motion?
I move to accept this proposal as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I, Merrill, vote aye.
Back aye.
Jim, I.
Luke, I.
Tim, I.
Susan, I.
Okay, thanks for coming before us, Brendan.
Thank
You're
you.
all set.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And then the last item on the agenda is 126 Second Street. And Cape Associates, I believe, is presenting on this.
Correct. Chris Dio, project manager, Cape Associates.
Thank you. Can you spell your name, Chris?
DIO.
Great, thank you. Do you want to talk to us about this proposal?
Sure, pretty straightforward. We had existing fir 1x4 fir decking mixed in with some PT decking that was all rotting. You can see from those pictures, grade level deck, stairs there, landing there, that section in there. And our proposal is to replace it with 5/4 by 6 mahogany wood.
My only question is, it lists in your application ePay?
Yeah, you know, it was cost prohibitive at that point,
Yeah.
and so they switched to mahogany and, you know, same silver weathering, and yeah, it's you know, there was a couple open holes in the deck where the fir had rotted at the butt joints, and so it's a safety issue as well. We did not touch that upper bridge deck.
Mhm.
That was already mahogany, so we left as is.
Mhm.
You know, just trying to keep up with some of the maintenance on this property. We property watch this as well. So, you know, deferred maintenance tends to, yeah, you can see
Yeah.
there was more than one of those situations there. Again, just trying to give them, you know, another 20 plus years of good quality deck.
I'm fine with it. I'm just curious, were you able to find mahogany or is it Kayubatu?
Yeah, it's Kayubatu, yeah. Or whatever one of those those numerous other names are.
Yeah.
So
So what is that? Is that a type of mahogany?
yeah, it's it's another tropical hardwood.
Uh-huh.
You know, the supply of the various one ebbs and flows. You know, we've gone through this stuff called sapele, which is like kind of like an Ipe type one. You know, I think that was Luke who said, you know, sometimes you get mahogany, most of the times you get the Kayubatu from Shepley. So, you know, it's all better than fir, and so
Yeah.
that's and or PT. You know, we try to stay away from that at all costs. So,
Mhm.
you
And
know,
Chris, can you just tell us a little bit about the post down to concrete?
oh yeah. So if you take a look at that bridge deck, whoever actually framed that deck, they framed it with 2x8s, and the span between those two pressure treated glue lamps. Can you see those drop glue lamps there?
Mhm.
It was like literally right at 12 feet, which is right pushing the maximum span of a 2x8. So what we did is we flush framed another treated glue lamp up into that framing, posted down independent of the building to 48-inch footings up against the building, and took that spring out of there. So, you know, in effect, we've got a mid-span beam there now, and
Wait,
you know, that's
I'm sorry, I'm confused. You keep using the past tense. Has this work already been done?
some of the work. We had given permission by Derry at the town to proceed with work, and so
I wondered about that because when I went yesterday, the lower decks looked as though they
yeah.
were already mahogany.
So we were just informed actually last week that we had to go to conservation. Somehow it slipped through the cracks at the town. And so we thought that we were like everybody else waiting. You know, as you guys know, Wellfleet has had a hard time processing permits. You know, we went through conservation, did all of the other approvals process, and we were given permission to take up the decking. And these folks had a wedding this summer, and obviously living at the house. So, you know, we didn't anticipate going to historic, first of all, because I don't believe that this was in a historic district. Nobody had given us that idea. So again, you know, knowing that the town had been, you know, kind of falling behind, I have the documentation from Darien to proceed. And then the historic thing came up last week. So here I am. We immediately processed the permit, and you know,
It's been a little discombobulated. Yeah, we understand.
yeah, you know,
We appreciate you coming before us.
And just so
Well,
you
and-
know, for future reference, it's anything over 75 years old comes before us. It doesn't have to be in an historic district.
Oh,
Gotcha. And I
lovely.
think, you know, some of the other thing too is this, as you can see, this house has been changed so many times
Yeah,
that, you know, without looking, I don't know what the assessors, what does the assessor's card actually show? Does it? I actually have the paperwork here.
I think I downloaded it's right here. It's on the shared screen if you want to look at it. I don't know if you can see what you need to see, but
Mhm.
well, probably the year, but of course, the years aren't always right with these things.
Right.
So we need to look at our.
Right. I don't even, where is the year listed in here?
The
I'm
bottom
trying to
left,
find it.
second from the bottom.
Bottom left, year bill. Yeah, 1910. Now I see it.
Yeah,
So yeah, we get it. We get that. We kind of, you know, have gone the roundabout method here. You know, we had been Cape Associates, you know, we do a lot of work in town and try to do every single thing, but there was such a backlog of our work. I mean, as you can see, I applied for this. I went through conservation on 4/20.
yeah,
And, you know, this was one of, you know, 4 or 5 that we hadn't been issued a permit yet. And unfortunately, like again, last week, we got notice that, oh yeah, we didn't tell you, you had to go to historic.
Oh,
So,
dear.
So are you on hold until you go through us?
well, I think the permit is going to be, you know, issued, and
Yeah.
we still have some extraneous work with the handrails that, you know, we didn't take off and replace. Again, those were pressure treated that we're replacing with mahogany. So we still have some work remaining there, but we needed to make it as a safe environment. And obviously these folks use the house in the summer. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah, it's not been an ideal situation with the permitting process here, but we're trying our hardest to work through it.
Yeah, and the
You know-
town is trying hard too. The new building inspector is terrific, but he's got a lot on his plate because there's been such a backlog.
Yeah, no, and I've spoken to him a few times too on different things. So I get it. We're empathetic to all of it. So,
Yeah,
you know, I guess in good judgment thought, you know, wasn't like I was asking to put down, you know, AZEC composite decking. So we felt like historically, you know, wood decking for wood decking is always a good thing.
you're right.
absolutely.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to accept this proposal as presented.
Second, Mac.
Merrill vote aye.
Jim, I.
Susan, I.
Mac, aye.
Tim, I.
Luke, I.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so
Thanks,
much for
committee.
coming before us.
Yep. Have a great evening.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Can I stop sharing now? Are we done?
Well, we have other items on the agenda, but there's nothing more to share. So
Okay.
yeah, I think you can take a break. Thank you, Susan. You
Oh,
did
it's no problem.
seamlessly.
It's really not that complicated, but thank you.
Appreciate it.
Happy to do it.
So the next item on the agenda is Susan's terrific minutes, which she sent to all of us this week. And I would like to make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second that.
Um,
Aye.
Aye.
I.
Okay, everybody's all set
Yep.
with that. And then the second item is accounting. Jim, do you have anything for us?
Well, the update there is that Lynn Smilage has endorsed a new contract in the amount of $13,000 to produce 50 more building inventory forms. So we're happy that that has resulted. And there was a rate increase for her, which she clearly deserved. So it now remains to us, I guess, to recommend the properties for her to review.
Okay. When we've talked about this before with Lynn, what she likes to do is to do neighborhoods, basically, so that she's talking about the ways that the buildings are related to each other. So
Exactly.
Yeah, so how should we do this, Jim? Should we send you thoughts about what goes next? I mean, I should say that we have this Wellfleet Survey Street Index. She has updated it, which is great. I actually tried to print it out though, and she's added a lot more information, and it's very hard to print out because it's so tiny. I don't know if we can ask her to make it so that it's easier to print out because it's so hard to read now.
Right.
It's on the drive, so you could just go in and you could zoom it open and read it on the drive. With
Yeah, not print it out. It'd be better to save paper.
Yeah, probably. I think it's big. I think it's pretty hefty report. I mean, I think one area that I'd like to see done is kind of Chequesset Neck Road out, where to include like the Colony and all that, those more modern buildings, because I think that those are important ones to have documented, and also, you know, as they're bought and sold, we want to make sure that that's just an aside. And I'm sure Tim, you probably know tons more because you're so familiar with the town and what's going on.
It's actually I'm hesitant. There's a number of properties that I've seen recently, and I know that the Cape Cod Modern House Trust does a lot with some of the mid-century modern houses. But if we're looking at 1947, we're getting close to that that consideration, and I don't know how much our Form B should extend to maybe being shorter than that timeline if something's historically significant as a further form of protection. But the area on Ocean View Drive and through Newcomb Hollow is definitely an area that there's a lot of that flies under the radar there that I think deserves some protection. I mean, I have a personal connection to there. You know, my family has a house over on Ocean View Drive. It's a newer house, but still there's a lot there. And I know that the seashore has protections as well. But those are more about maintaining the landscape and the look as opposed to the houses themselves. And I think that a lot of them I've read in recently in some of the MLS listings, you know, really interesting stuff that the realtor is finding from interviewing the owners that I had never heard of, even reading, you know, Peter McMahon's book and being on the website, and was like, why is this not documented more thoroughly? You kind of have to search for it. So I'd be interested in seeing how some of that works out. If that would be my 2 cents.
I'm looking at the, you know, we have a comprehensive inventory that was done by the first preservation specialist, Eric Dray. And for Ocean View, and basically there's a column that has to do with his recommendations. And for Ocean View Drive, they're either not recommended to be updated or they're medium rather than high. There's, and there are a few that are done, and then there are several that are no's at all. For, let's see, yeah, there is nothing on the high list there, so there's a reason why you haven't seen anything done there.
Yeah.
And then you wanted Newcomb Hollow, is that what you're talking about?
The area around like the loop for Horseleach Pond and back behind Newcomb Hollow, and it's in our guidelines. I know I wonder if that list is skewed because it's the 75-year-old. You know,
no, actually, the Modern House Trust houses are also on it because they count for under our purview because they're done by architects who are well known.
Yeah.
So let's see, Newcomb Hollow Road has 1, 2, 2, and Newcomb Hill Road has 1, and then there's Newcomb's Lane. Newcomb's Lane is a high. The 2 on Newcomb Hollow Road, the Vanderburg House and the Vera and Laszlo Tisla houses are done. And then Newcomb Hill Road is medium. So
what about, I'm thinking like Thoreau Way, Way 657, Horseleach, and Slough Pond.
Okay. You know what? Rather than spending a lot of time on it, how about, would everybody send me, I guess, the areas you're thinking about, and I'll go through the list and see what's high and see what we can recommend. But I really appreciate your knowledge about this, Tim, and your thoughtfulness about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Anybody else?
In addition, Lynn has offered to make some recommendations to the commission. If you'd like to consider them, I can ask her to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I would be happy to be the go-between about this if you want.
Okay, that's fine. That's good.
A lot, okay.
Mhm, yep.
Um, all right, so that's that. Anything else on accounting we should know of, or should we move on?
No, I think that's the most important.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So I guess my request would be that anybody that has suggestions, send it to the Wellfleet Historical Commission email, just so we can all see it, or we all have the option of seeing it.
Right.
And actually, yeah, and if you would just CC me as well, individually, that'd be great. And then let's see, anything on correspondence?
So totally blanking on her name, the woman the assessor.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
She
I don't remember
is,
either.
she's on vacation, so I emailed her this past week and said, hey, just wanted to, she does not send it automatically. I have to ask her for it. So I asked her if there are any updates, and I haven't heard back from her because she's on vacation. So I will get that from her hopefully next week, and I'll just send out letters to new owners.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I have some things under correspondence as well. Anybody else? Okay, so let's see, we got something from Hillary Greenberg. I guess I'll just read it to you. She's sending this, I think, to all of the major committees and commissions in the town. The Wellfleet Board of Health will be holding a public hearing on Wednesday, August 10th at 5:30 to discuss a revised draft Board of Health regulations paper. A majority, if not all, of the proposed changes at this time pertain to Section 600 subsurface sewage disposal systems. The changes will assist the town with improvements to water quality by eliminating septic systems which meet new failure criteria. Cesspools and non-conforming septic systems will need to be upgraded to be in compliance with the new draft regulations. So they sent us a copy of the draft regulations. They'd like us to review both documents and come to the meeting with any concerns or questions they have. The meeting will be held on Zoom and also in person at the Wellfleet Community Center. So if anybody wants to be a part of that, you might want to just check the information on the Historical Commission Gmail account. And then the second thing is from the town of Wellfleet, from Rebecca Eldridge. She says at the August 2nd Select Board meeting, the board discussed committee liaisons. There are some board members that would like to be considered as a liaison, and she's sending us this letter on their behalf to ask if we would like a select board liaison and in what capacity we would like that liaison to work with us. It's not a requirement for the committee, just a suggestion, a way to have a select board member as a contact person who will attend meetings and listen to our progress and answer any questions we may have. They won't weigh in on our deliberations. They'll just listen to the work that we're doing. I actually think this could be very useful, and that it might help them to understand better the work that we're doing and help us have better communication with the town. But I'm open to other people's thoughts about that. Anybody else?
No,
I
I
think-
agree.
I mean, I think it'd be fine. I think it'd be nice if, I don't know if we can cherry pick who our liaisons are, but that might be a nice thing to be able to do.
You have a thought about who you'd like, Susan?
No, I really don't. I'm pretty ignorant about the current roster of select board members, so I'm sure you guys have a better idea than I do. But
Sure, if I do, actually, because there's been a changeover
there
recently.
has been.
Yeah.
I just think that, yes, obviously they will learn about what we do. My fear is if somebody was learning about what we do, to the extent we do it, they might say, well, we shouldn't be doing that at all, type of thing. So that's my thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Janet Reinhardt had a part in writing the demolition delay bylaw, and Helen Miranda Wilson has been in town for so long that they were both our contact people, and they're both gone.
Right.
So does anybody else have thoughts about anybody they think would be a good person? And any thoughts about having a liaison?
I don't personally think it would hurt at all. You know, the more out there in the open between committees and the rest of the people who work for the town or serve the town, I'm all for it. And I'm sure that whoever is interested in whichever committee, I'm sure they'll figure that out amongst themselves. And it'll probably fall into place, I would imagine.
Sounds like we all think it's a pretty good idea.
Good.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
I'll pass that message on. Thank you all. Okay, I think that's. Oh, and the other thing I thought you might be interested in was I had a discussion with, well, it was sort of an email exchange with Dari, or Derry, we're supposed to call her at the building department, about how long our decisions are good for, and how long the building department permits are good for. So I thought you would all, I'd let you all know just so that it's in all of our memories because these things get lost. A building permit is good for 6 months, meaning they have 6 months to start the job. And if for whatever reason they can't start the job, the permit can be extended for 6 months at a time for a nominal fee. Gordon and I had proposed that our decisions be good for a year and that we reconsider after a year if somebody hasn't acted on that. And she said, fine, that, you know, that will be what we go by, as long as that's okay with everybody else.
Sounds fine.
Okay, good. All right, anything about the new website?
Well, Susan and I had a discussion about the contents of the new website this week, and we are, I think, intending to present a draft of that content at the September meeting, if that would be appropriate.
Great.
For the consideration of the commission.
Okay, wonderful. That's great news.
We basically have created the content more or less. And Jim and I discussed it a little bit in terms of how it's set up. And we are going to put together kind of a semi-final version, which obviously can change completely based on your input.
Right.
And then we'll deliver it to Andrea.
Wonderful. That's exciting.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. We also wanted to post an example of a well-documented project application on the new website. And so we wondered if it should be a real application that's selected and used with the permission of the property owner, or whether it should be sort of a made-up application. That's just something to think about. I mean, we don't have to answer that today, but it's one of the things to ponder.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that's a great idea though, because that's been such an issue. Yeah. I think part of the problem is that somehow Derry, I believe we sent her a copy of the new application that we created more than a year ago, but she's been sending people the old application and didn't realize until the difficulties with Kathy Bedard, you know, when I said we need the specs for the windows, that she said, oh, this looks more detailed than what we've been using. I said, yes, it is. We created a new one a year ago. So yeah, it's been challenging.
Mary, you or whomever want to consider and let me know. Next month, I should have 2 projects that I'll put in front of the commission. And obviously I'll for those when they're up on the agenda, but I don't, to avoid confusion, it would be best if there's a quorum without me to recuse myself for the entire meeting, just so you can think about it and let me know if there's a quorum without me and if that's the route we should take. But in the past, I've been available to vote on some items on the agenda, and then I've recused myself for my own, but there'll probably be 2, so I don't know if it just makes sense for me to recuse myself for the entire meeting, but you can let me know.
Okay, well, in general, your input is very useful, Luke, and so it would be great if you could be here, but if it turns out that there aren't a lot of other items on and you want a break, and you certainly have a lot going on in your life. Why don't we just play it by ear? But thanks for letting us know ahead. And if everybody can just let me know if you won't be able to meet that next meeting, then we'll have more of a sense of whether we need Luke for a quorum.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then we wanted to talk about the design guidelines and the Secretary of Interior standards. I was kind of trying to address some of the difficulties we've had about this by reading a little bit about our window standards. But I would like very much to hear about people's thoughts about this issue.
Well, I had a thought when we were discussing with the vinyl windows. What was the reason we didn't just reject it? Because my concern was, and I almost didn't vote because of this. My concern is that this person is going to put a down payment, and then we're going to be in the same scenario we've been before. I almost proposed that we just reject it outright and have them come back instead of just saying come back and we'll discuss options. And I think that I don't want to give the wrong opinion, but I think we should hold strong to what we've laid out as guidelines, because we've been sort of sidetracked here and there by, well, I've already paid for this, or I didn't know. And I think that those situations will present themselves, and we should always, meet things as they come. But I was, that was a concern I had, and I wanted to mention later.
Yeah, I was really startled with that application to see replace wooden windows with flat. And I thought, what's this doing here? Haven't they read anything?
Yes.
It was
I wish you had said something, Tim, because
I'm sorry. I
I would
thought
have been
about
happy
it.
to reject it outright, and
Yeah.
say you need to come back to us. But I think in light of, we need to have a consistent policy that we're using. And
Go ahead.
And the consistent policy that's laid out by the Secretary of Interior standards is you use wood replacement windows, or you wood windows, or wood with some kind of vinyl cladding. And that's what they recommend. So we can say, I think we need to have like a hardship clause that recognizes when somebody's already paid for them or ordered them and they can't get their money back or whatever. And also, some people might not be able to afford it, but as you were saying, Mara, that they're pretty much the same if well maintained in terms of cost as a vinyl window. I don't know if that's true or not, Luke, but you might be able to comment on that.
Well, I that having consistency, is big, and I've kind of advocated to have consistency for a while. I think it's hard when somebody comes up in front of us and they might not have understood all the ins and outs of a sale, or maybe in that case, a check already went through, and obviously you want to save people finances through heat loss and all like that. But yeah, I think there definitely should be some sort of consistency, and with windows and with everything. I mean, there's been some inconsistencies over the years, and the replacement windows are kind of I am fairly opinionated. Obviously, I don't really love most of the replacement windows, and I've had some bad experiences. And that being said, I think that whatever our guidelines are, we should kind of stick to it. And it's become kind of hard to vote against, say in this case, a replacement window when you think about previous meetings and that they've gone through in the past, and then on top of trying to be consistent, now it's sort of hard for me to hold a hard no in some of this decision making when we're faced with the fact that we're an advisory committee, and what happens should we vote against something like that? What's the next step, or is a permit going to be issued anyway? And then where does that leave us? So, basically, those are my thoughts on the whole topic.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
I hate to be, this is gonna make me sound terrible, and I just want to throw it out there. With the last project that we saw and we talked, and she had already put the money down, not the Holbrook, but the one up above.
Right.
Part of me wished I didn't know her story,
Mhm.
and I mean that in the nicest way, but it's hard to be impartial. And that's like the hardship clause. I think, my heart says I want to allow that, and I want people to be able to do this. The other part of me was like, well, if we're trying to have teeth and stick to our guns and follow the guidelines, and I know that lady, needed to have the windows and had put the money down, and it was a cheaper option for her. But also someone can take advantage of that and say, I have a hardship, and they really don't.
Right.
And so again, I'm sort of both sides on this, and I don't mean to sound totally cynical and terrible, but I think that having the guidelines, and I was thinking about how to go about this, instead of raising more concerns about how to come up with a solution. I think that I'm going to read through the minutes from the last year and find where we've had things like AZEK decking or vinyl windows, and where it hasn't been we have to do this because someone's already put money down, but where it's actually come up, we've made the decision. And if it's like, instead of saying wood, we stick to wood windows, or specifically this product, like the Renewal by Anderson 40% wood pulp, that's acceptable, or a Marvin window at this spec or similar. So that way people don't have this sort of second guess, can fit in this other thing. If we use specific products, even if they get outdated at some point, it sort of lays it out. But I think as far as coming up with a solution to these design guidelines, I think we should work like according to the scenarios that have been presented to us that have thrown up questions. We had the property on Main Street, Francis, when they had the wood gutter, and it was, can we do AZEK with that? Can it be, and I think we don't have AZEK mentioned on trim, but we've made multiple decisions that says, as long as the AZEK matches to look, we recognize, taking away microplastics, we recognize that this will be like a proper replacement and imitate what was already there. So yes, now we will accept AZEK, and that's one of our guidelines. But I think that might be a way we go about coming up with more direct things, and it will keep the meetings tighter and shorter, but also more precise. And then we know that we've at least advised on our end, according to precedent, apart from what we've already laid down as guidelines.
I think that's a really good point, Tim. This whole issue is so complex because, with that last proposal, with the woman who's up near Outer Cape Health, sorry, that's my phone.
It's okay. I'm listening. My cats are fighting. Give me 1 second. I'm listening.
All right. So with the last proposal, he gave us a list of buildings that were historic buildings in Provincetown that had been approved for those replacement windows. And I actually went to P-Town and drove around and had my husband stop, and I walked around to check out all these buildings. And it was incredible to see the number of buildings that, they were on Bradford Street. So I assume that's a historic district, and they were lovely old houses, and they had the same replacement windows that we were unhappy with. And that's their historic district commission. So I actually, I didn't realize that. So I contacted their historic commission and asked them if we could have information about why they approved those windows. And she said, oh, we don't deal with that. The local historic district commission deals with that. So the tricky part about us even having design guidelines is usually that's only done when people have a local historic district commission. And Jim and Gordon and I created those guidelines based on some local historic district commissions to try to be more consistent. The tricky part is we ran it by the select board, and they were very unhappy with the idea of our using them consistently. They wanted them to be advisory guidelines. They didn't want us, they wanted us to be flexible with people because of things like finances. And they actually don't have any say over that. But they wouldn't back us up if we do it differently. And we don't have the legal right in a way because we don't have a local historic district. So it's tricky, but I do think it would be helpful if we could just try to be more consistent. And I think also we need to get the message across more clearly to the building commissioner that they need to be clear with people when they get permits that they can't sign contracts with people for windows before they come before us. And I think we probably just, I was worried that this guy was going to say, once again, there'd been money put down. But I think we may just need to set limits about that and say, sorry, guys, we're very clear on the website, and unfortunately, I think the building the building department ends up being sort of our secretary, that they're the front line, and they don't, I think Derry is so overwhelmed that she's not representing us about this stuff in the ways that she could. So I'm hoping that once we have a website up, we can just send her the link and have a way to say, okay, if you're submitting a proposal to us, we want you to check this, and this sections, and have it be as clear as possible, because I do think people don't go on the town website information that we've put a lot of work into making clear.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that what you did tonight was laudable in that, you let him know that they need to come to us, and he'll remember and probably tell his colleagues. And I think as long as we consistently do that. Luke, I'm curious, actually. I feel like I should know more about this, but I'd welcome your thoughts. So let's say from the last proposal, she puts half the money down, they start making the windows, and we say no. Is there a way that she can get that money back from the contract, like that she signs? How does that work with the manufacturer for our future knowledge?
I thought that it was odd in that case that there had been any exchange of finances. I think that I don't think there's very many renewal by Anderson's. They do a lot of business, so I'm sure they have a standardized practice. But that I can't imagine too many contractors accepting any kind of money or down payment prior to knowing that a project is permit ready, because it could get snagged up 12 different ways. We're only one of the potential holdups, and I had never really that happening. We always have a permit in hand, unless it's just design work that's been done in preparation for permitting. Obviously, that would need to be paid for, but windows, doors, I can't imagine that that's very common. So I don't exactly know why would operate like that, but I'm sure it's standard practice. I'm sure it was just this one case.
Okay.
I think that what may have happened in this case, well, what the homeowner said was that she had never been referred to the historical commission before. And so what I wonder is maybe the definition of what comes before the historical commission has changed over time, because some people seem to have the impression that only buildings in historic districts come before us. And, we don't have local historic districts, so that would be the NRHP districts, the National Register districts, but that's an honorary designation. It's not a town designation. So I'm confused by that, about how this has worked in the past, and have we changed something so that it's done differently, or are these just things that people do to try to get by us? Because the other thing is, this woman, Kathy Bedard, is the person who was the representative for Holbrook. And when she filled out that application, she's the one who said that house was built in 1960 when it was built in 1940. And on this one, she said they were replacing 8 windows on the first application. And then she sent in a second one with more detail, and she said there were 18 windows. So frankly, I don't trust this woman at all. I think she just tries to get things through us.
Mm.
And then she doesn't come to the meeting so that we can't talk to her about what she's doing. And she acts like she knows nothing, but I think that she doesn't want to know how it works, frankly. So it is hard to, I feel like you're right, Tim, that we need to set more limits. And when people say they put money down, that needs to be the onus of the people that had them put the money down. That's not our responsibility. And they're not going to be getting business anymore if this keeps happening. And that's their responsibility.
Well, I mean, I think that the other thing is we can say, we're gonna allow you some time to explore the options that you have with this manufacturer and others to get either wood or vinyl clad wood windows. Here are some examples of some of the ones that we were thinking of, like, and then just put it off and say, because we're not going to approve this because, these are not windows that fit within the historic preservation guidelines. And then if they come back and say, they won't give me our money back, I've tried and tried, and they show some effort, at least, maybe then we would have to approve it. But I think we give up too easily. I don't want to give up too easily on this. I think the pushback tonight was good. We said, look, we need to talk to this person and, to the owner, because, and it doesn't appear that he had put money down already, or that guy probably would have said something about it.
Yeah, I thought about asking and I didn't want to give him that out.
Right.
Well, do we have a page? I think we need a page on the website about windows. And I wonder, Tim, would you be willing to do research into windows that would be acceptable to the commission?
Absolutely.
That would be great.
So actually, Jim had included a page about windows from a write-up from another.
From Brookline. Yeah, that was a great write-up.
Oh, right.
Right. So we can, we'll take a look at that and see if that makes sense to include, but we'll definitely have some page about windows and probably doors too, because I'm assuming that comes up also.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about specific recommendations. I mean, we'd have to have some caveat about how we aren't recommending, well, I don't know, something about.
We're not recommending specific manufacturers, but this is the similar style that we'd like to see.
Exactly.
Right, the type of window that we're talking about, right.
And
to
also
do that, also about people that restore windows. I think we need information about that as well.
Yeah, and that lady that Brian's using seems awesome. And yeah, I was also going to say, when it comes to the website, I don't know if mine is the best example, but if you need to use any of my drawings or stuff that I presented to over my own house, as far as the application, I'm happy to do that as well.
Oh, that would be great.
That's great.
I own all of that. That's all me. I don't have to ask anybody's permission.
That's very helpful. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Any other comments or questions about this issue?
It's really a conundrum, isn't it? We're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place with this stuff. But I think if we're willing to push back and say, we can't approve this at this time, you need to do some more research into what your other options are, and this is what we're recommending, and see what they come back with. I think that's a good kind of first step for us to try and be consistent.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think we have covered everything, unless anybody has anything else they want to add.
No, but I have a question.
Yes.
So this recording that I've done of this meeting, because the town set this up, they have the recording, right? I don't need to do anything. I just turn this off and I'm done.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And thanks again. I really appreciate both of you.
Not a problem. It's really not a problem.
Yeah.
Any of us could have done that. It's really pretty simple.
Well, such a help.
No, I was happy to do it.
And I'm realizing that I said that our next meeting was 9/7, but technically it could be the 17th of August, because we're supposed to be meeting once a week. So I'm sorry. I think, what I've ended up doing is I decided not to advertise this on the town website that we're meeting twice a month, because we don't want to meet unless we have proposals. And I don't really think, I think it's a hardship in a way to have to meet twice a month, especially in the summer months. So I'm just listing it as a once a month meeting, but just so you all know, we may need to meet on August 17th, and I'll just see what proposals come in.
Okay.
Is there
Alright.
anybody who will not be able to be here that day?
I can do that day. I was also gonna say, I believe that I have a, Luke, in addition to your September 7th, I think that's the date. I might be having just a series of elevations coming before the commission. So Luke, I'm happy to recuse for mine if you'll just do mine, and then you can recuse for yours and I'll vote on yours.
Now, you can't trade votes.
No, we're not trading votes, but we're trading recusals.
All right. All right, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're all set, and I hope you all have a great August, and that maybe you have a whole August without another historical commission meeting.
Fingers crossed, although it's lovely to see you all.
It's
Thanks,
lovely to
everybody.
see you as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.